Go right ahead.
All right. Today's date, it's the 15th, okay. I don't have my gavel, but we'll
Oh, sorry.
I'm good. We'll roll with it. All right, the meeting of the December 15th, 2022 zoning board of appeals for the town of Manlius meeting will come to order. In attendance is Warren. P.P. Kelly is not present tonight. Our secretary is being filled in by Lisa. Debbie is not available tonight. I'm Tim, the chairman. Got Carrie and Claire, and then Tim Proteski is represented us from the legal standpoint tonight. Just a reminder, everybody in the audience, make sure you silence your cell phones. We're going to stand and do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so tonight we have just two items on our agenda. The first one is the approval of the minutes for November 17th, 2022. Those did come in a little bit late just because there were some amendments that needed to be made. Can I get a motion to table those to the next meeting?
Motion.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. So just a reminder, we will take care of those next ones. All right, second agenda item is A&E and SNY Surgery Center, Medical Center Drive, Fayetteville, New York. Public hearing for two side yard variances on the east side of the property next to Town Center Retirement Community. The first variance will be for the placement of a trash receptacle with an existing setback of 27 feet 4 inches. They will need a variance of 72 feet 6 inches to meet the required 100 feet. Second variance is for service loading dock with an existing setback of 25 feet 5 inches. They will need a variance of 74 feet 4 inches to meet the 100-foot setback or setback. And just a reminder, this came before us in May. I want to say, was it April, Warren?
I think it was even maybe that like March.
Okay, but it's springtime.
Yes.
So this is just a continuation of some of the stuff that we had discussed with them. We knew that they'd come back with the at least the trash receptacle piece of it. When we sent it back over to the planning board, you guys have since met with the planning board. Now you're back here.
Correct.
So is that enough? Okay. All right. So let's just make sure. So the legal notice for tonight's meeting has been published. Can I have a motion to waive the reading of that?
Motion to
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. This time I'll request a motion to open the public hearing on agenda item number 2.
Mr. Chairman, before we do that, can we
Yes,
just
sir.
do a quick seeker review? Because
Yes.
technically supposed to do that before you do the public hearing.
Okay.
So somebody must make, so because this is a commercial property, it is not a type 2 action, it is an unlisted action, meaning we have to do an evaluation of the environmental impact of these two variances.
Okay.
So we filled out part 1 of the short environmental assessment plan.
Have you filled out that
It's all filled out.
with the planning board,
No,
or it's been filled out?
it's been filled out for tonight's purposes.
Okay.
And we're going to go through 11 questions, which are going to determine whether or not these two variances will have a significant environmental impact. Based on my review of this until now, I think the answers to the questions are going to be no to small impact, but feel free to tell me whether you disagree with that. But first, we need to declare ourselves the lead agency for secret purposes, so somebody wants to make that motion.
Can we make a motion to declare us as the lead agency?
I motion.
All right. Second one. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go through the 11 questions, and again, I believe the answer are no or small impact may occur. If you disagree, please speak up. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? No to small? And you disagree with that?
Yeah.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of the land? Again, this is the variance, it's not the actual site plan, which the planning board did its own secret evaluation. No to small?
Dennis.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of an existing community on the variances? No small.
Yes.
Will the proposed action impact the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? The answer to that is no. We do actually have a critical environmental area in town. Manlius, but that's the Pre-Falls Woods, which is far away. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? Again, we're talking about specifically the variances. No small.
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonable available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? Or small? Right. Will the proposed action cause an increase in use of energy and it fails to incorporate? We already did that one. Will the proposed action impact existing private wastewater treatment utilities? Will the small?
No.
Thank you. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historical, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Or small. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in natural resources such as wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? Okay, the variances.
Yeah.
Right.
Nope.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? That was small.
No.
Based on the 11 questions and the answers to those 11 questions, I would recommend that this board issue what's called a negative declaration, meaning there will be no significant impact if these variances are granted.
I agree.
So if somebody wants to make a motion to issue a negative declaration.
Make a motion to declare negative.
A second?
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much. Now you're in a position to go forward with the public hearing.
And just to clarify, these variances are in addition to the prior variance that we issued back in the spring. Okay. All right. So if you could just come up, Lisa, can you pull up on the screen the picture? He's got it right there too, though, but yeah, if anybody's watching online, they can see it.
Yeah.
Warren, do you want to move over here? I know you normally sit there, but maybe it's a little easier.
Join us.
Just for this purpose, yeah, and then you can go back to it.
Good evening. My name is Rod Ives with Nepal Consulting. We're the site engineers. With me tonight's Mike Papa. He is the applicant. So the two variances, I was, I hope I did it very good. Sorry.
Okay. That works.
Yeah, so Medical Center Drive, Averill Drive. So through the site plan process, various iterations since the last time we were before you, what we've ended up with is our dumpster enclosure, which will be a CMU block with split face. You know, it's not going to be a chain link fence type of enclosure. It'll be something that kind of fits in with the architecture of the building. But that enclosure, the best place that we've worked out for that is up here in the northeast corner of the building. But this red line you'll see, that's that 100-foot setback that is required by code for the neighborhood shopping district. As far as, so you can see, we'd almost have to put this thing in the middle of the parking lot. If we were granted a variance to kind of locate it up in this corner. So that's why we're requesting a variance for the dumpster enclosure. The loading dock, it's not a traditional loading dock. It's a loading area, and what that is for the physical therapy equipment. Some of it's oversized. We needed someplace for it to get in and out of the building.
That's going to be primarily just used at the inception of the building, right? Okay.
Yeah, so
That's what we discussed last time.
yeah,
I didn't.
I didn't-
So that's going to be primarily for when his equipment, when it goes in the initial construction.
or a need, something for repair. So it's not everyday use,
It's
but,
not like the loading dock at Target.
right, but I didn't want to not apply for the variance and then there'd be.
Is that just roll up doors or?
Exactly, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
And just for purposes of the board, there was actually a question as to whether or not that variance was required, because it's really not a loading dock in the sense that that things will be coming in on a regular basis. They're really just gonna use it initially to bring in the equipment. And our code actually says that if it's on a regular basis, then you would, then you need to meet that, then it's considered a loading dock. But again, since they were gonna be here tonight anyway for a variance, Tom, I think it's important for this.
So that one's more so to just kind of double cover to make sure that it's there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's. our
So-
Application.
I may steal thunder from others with their questions, if you don't mind me asking first, you guys, but where that's located. And I know we discussed a couple different spots when you were here last time. Is that a standard dumpster
A standard dumpster,
that you'd be using or like?
A roll-off dumpster,
Yeah, or is it more like
a residential.
the residential 96 gallon bins that we have?
but the time where we are now, owns Plaza, it's smaller than the average size dumpster.
Is it one of those little, like the little green ones?
Yep.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking that is, and Warren and I discussed this, is the location you have that, if a truck's going in and front forking into that dumpster, I don't see how it would get in there from that angle,
Well, it's one-
based on where you have that.
Right, I mean, the anticipation is something that they'll have to roll out for the truck to be able to pick it up. Cause this will be all at grade, so it's just,
Right.
it's,
So let me ask a question. Is that the dumpster that you're gonna have in there, the kind that is like a forklift where the arms go in and it raises the dumpster up and dumps it?
That's what we have now, and I don't anticipate needing one even that size. quite frankly.
Those smaller, have you seen those smaller ones? They're what, like 8 foot, maybe 4 foot high?
Yep.
I guess I haven't seen that. When I think of dumpster, I think of something with two arms that go in and lift it up.
Yep.
And if that's the case, I can't see how a truck could get in there to get that, because that's position.
it could even end up being one of the ones that's side loaded, like they use. For village or municipal pickup.
Right, yeah, like the residential pickup stuff, that they're side loading those trucks now, so. That was my big question.
I've never seen a commercial dumpster that gets picked up on the side.
Yeah. Do you know from your planning meetings if that question came up at all, Tim?
It did not.
Okay.
I don't.
And again, it's just, we're looking at it from like just looking at the plan here.
And again, this is a medical office
Yeah.
use, so there's not the food waste or.
No, it's gonna be cardboard and a little
Yeah, I mean, we get
little
deliveries,
biohazard.
we get deliveries once a week.
Yeah.
On disposables, we just do not generate just don't generate a lot of trash.
Will there be medical waste there?
No medical waste.
That's a good question.
So the functionality of the facility you're talking about, well, important question.
Yeah.
In terms of a variance, I don't know. The variance really relates to where this has been placed
Right.
on the property and whether or not that is going to have. If you go through the balance of this, whether or not that makes sense in terms of its functionality. I mean, it's really the applicant's responsibility to
Yeah.
figure out how that's gonna work.
My question, like the bigger piece of it, I think that's Warren's too, is just based on that drawing. Where it's at, looking at it, just knowing what it was, because if it's a front load traditional dumpster, there's no way that a traditional trash truck is going to be able to make that angle to get in there.
If the dumpster was
it-
planted,
If I look at
Facing out.
the scale.
but then that would also be further into closer to the edge.
Yeah.
So, my original question was, if that dumpster was where those two parking spaces were, right above it. No, the other.
Oh, in here?
Yeah,
Well, we can't lose parking,
well,
so.
you had 100 and.
We're at 140 spaces. And that's what. That's been several iterations of.
Were they started smaller and it got bigger or?
Yeah, well, we had to provide all the parking for them. They didn't.
So that we didn't park across like you were talking about.
We had to
before.
take out of the equation any shared parking that may have been in the works.
Right, because we had just,
Four before, and now it's down 119. According to this.
well, if you recall back in the spring too, we had discussed that park across Averill, you guys were gonna lease that, right? Or it was a potential option. Okay. But the question at hand is where the trash receptacle is. Is that the best spot for it?
I would assume you want it close to the building so that somebody doesn't have to walk all the way across the parking lot to get rid of stuff.
That'd be helpful. Yeah.
When we met in spring, was the dumpster by the houses?
I don't think it,
Did we? talk about
I don't
that?
think I
There
don't
was gonna
remember.
be a row of trees, I remember.
Well, that's still there.
Yeah. I
That's
said
still here,
trees,
yeah.
But from my recollection, I thought that's where the.
We discussed it and they were gonna, I looked back at my notes, they were gonna come back to us because they hadn't figured out where they were gonna put it yet.
Oh, okay.
Because we knew that they'd eventually come back with that question.
I think this was the one place we knew it wasn't going to go.
Right.
Too far away.
It's in February, you don't want to be taking your trash all the way to the
No,
north port.
and. Yeah, you want to close to the building as possible.
Is there a side door right? Other than that, the dock, is there a side door right?
Well,
There's three entrances. This is an entrance. There's no doors on this side, no entrance on this side.
Oh, okay. So they just go out that door and.
Take the trash out that way.
Okay,
Hmm.
just trying to figure out orientation.
Sure.
Okay.
Does anybody have any other questions? Do we have any questions about the loading dock?
No, it's just.
Any questions, Warren?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of how you could get removal of that, if this was turned. So it was more like this. That might be easier, and then you would have to sacrifice those parking spaces.
Hey, if we were to. What we could do is pivot it. On that, based on that point, that's the 27.4 feet, so that we wouldn't affect our variance application.
Mhm.
That if you,
You still need the same distance for variance, it would just be pivoted a little bit.
It would not, it'd be the same difference we need, correct?
And
You wouldn't be just driving any large trucks down this slope area, right?
No.
And
It's just gonna be a one-time delivery for the physical therapy, but it's just quite large. Once it's there, but we will not use that.
all right. Any other questions? Claire, you good?
No, we're good.
Very good.
I'm good.
Anything else you need to add in, Tim?
No.
Okay. So I now want to open the meeting to anyone in the audience that would like to comment. First thing I want to do is I have a letter that we received. And Lisa has this on hand. So this is from Nicholas and Linda Massa. They live on 101 Stargate Circle in Fayetteville, New York, 13066. This was received on December 13th. Dear Ms. Witzel and the zoning board is turning a residential area into a commercial area. Placement of a trash receptacle and loading dock will be an eyesore, even if disguised behind a fence or other ugly device. The trash will attract vermin. More commercial vehicles will be in the area to service the trash receptacles and use the loading docks. Not to mention the traffic in and out of the parking lot, which is to accommodate 100 cars. We have enough traffic now from Americu Town Center Resort and Northeast Medical Center. The commercial establishment itself will cause enough traffic. The 100-spot parking lot, asphalt will cause a lot more water runoff and will also need plowing and snow removal. Cars will be constantly entering and leaving the parking area, shining their lights in my windows and creating noise. They will be parking, they would park in light poles behind my home, also shining in my windows and slider. Even if these things are completely blocked, my view and my neighbor's view will be completely destroyed. I think there has not been enough consideration concerning the impact and effects by this whole commercial enterprise on the Starview community. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Nicholas T. Massa and Linda J. Massa. Does anybody have any comments or
Yeah, I
questions?
do. I'm gonna use one manufacturer for all the physical therapy equipment. I envision maybe once or twice for delivery, and then once that equipment is there, I don't even foresee using that. There's just no reason to be getting out of that area. There's nothing that's gonna be delivered with a loading dock ever in one place. Never. Just, I won't have anything that large. So the loading dock, I just think it's a little, it's misconceived in what exactly what's used for.
Right. And then just to obviously reiterate that, this has been through the planning board. And I know that the concerns have been addressed. And this is just for the variances of the already approved building permit. What the building permit will be approved once the variances have been approved.
We
Clarify that.
We do still need to go back to the planning
You have to
board.
go back, okay.
Approval. We can come here and get the variance.
Oh, okay, I was unclear on that, so. Okay, Warren, any questions? And the runoff concern that's been addressed in the, by the planning board.
The site plan won't be approved unless there's a small action plan that's in place that shows that the rate of runoff will be no greater. Post development than pre-development.
And I know in the issuance of the initial variance that we made certain that we tried to move where we tried to make sure we worked within understanding the property that was to the right, the Stargate community that we were, or Stargate community that we would, be cognizant of their concerns as well. So. Any other questions, Warren? And then I will call you in just one moment.
So the runoff of water will be addressed by the planning board.
Yep.
So that'll be an engineer review with a retaining wall and that whole thing. We had discussed the length of the wall going back being a certain distance before it veers and goes north. I don't see that being different here. So I guess I'm all set.
Okay. And then members of the audience.
I just want, there's another
Yes, sir.
letter that was submitted. Did you not receive a letter? From-
Do you have
I have a letter.
Do you have that letter?
Yeah.
Certainly. If you have it, I'll read it and put it on record. Lisa, do you have another record? This was the only one that Debbie had shared to me, so.
Okay.
All right, and you're Mr. Lewis, right?
No,
Or
I'm
no?
not. I'm a real estate broker.
You're-
who represents,
You are, that's right.
that represents the owners there.
That's why I recognized you. All right, so this is from Resort Lifestyle Communities, December 9th, 2022, regarding A&E SNY Center, Medical Center Drive, Town of Manlius. This is addressed to the Town of Manlius Zoning Board of Appeals. It is our understanding the applicant is requiring approximately 75-foot relief from the current zoning setback requirement to locate an enclosed dumpster and equipment loading area along our common property line, their easterly and our westerly lines. We reviewed the current plans prepared by Navarella Consulting dated 25th of August, 2022. We at Resort Lifestyle Communities, the adjourning property owner to the applicant, agree with and find the request acceptable to us. Sincerely, Bob Lewis, Director of Development. And then
Director
I'll,
of what?
do you,
Development.
yep. Okay. Are you okay if I give that to?
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. You want the records? That's fair. Oh, okay.
Do you want to give that to her?
Give it.
You want me to give?
Well, did we just, yeah, if you could give one of those to Lisa, so we can put it on record. Okay, do we have anybody online? Okay. All right, I would now, like to request a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, now we'll have a discussion, with the 5 questions, as we always do. So let's go through them. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance.
So are we gonna do one of them at a time?
Yes.
Okay, which one are we doing first?
We'll do the trash receptacle first. Sorry, I should clarify that. Yeah, we'll do that one and then we'll do the loading dock second. All right, so for the trash receptacle, which again is a variance of 72 feet 6 inches. With their current 27 feet 4 inches that they have. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. Yes, they could put it in other spots in the parking lot. Right in the middle of the parking
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
lot. Whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties.
No.
No,
Whether the requested variance is substantial. Yeah,
yeah,
Yes.
it's 72 feet. Whether, would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood?
no,
Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created?
yeah,
Yeah. All right, the ZBA, after taking into consideration the above 5 factors, finds that the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood or community. The ZBA further finds that a variance for 72 feet 6 inches is the minimum variance that should be granted in order to preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Can I get a motion to? Warren?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, the zoning board grants a variance to Michael Papa for the property located at
Just read the tax map number there. At 086.
the tax map 086.01-03.9. Variance being granted for the purpose of permitting construction of a trash enclosure on the property.
And to clarify, that's a side yard variance, so it's
Your variance, 2.6 feet.
and that's, yeah, to clarify to meet the required. Could we get a second?
I second that motion.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, now moving on to variance part 2. And this again is for the same property. But this is a loading dock variance with an existing setback currently of 25 feet 5 inches. They will need a variance of 74 feet 4 inches to meet the 100-foot setback. May I get a motion?
All right, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to zone.
Are we gonna go through the factors?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, okay, hold on, I'm jumping the gun here. It's okay. Don't worry about that. Thank you. No, that's why Tim's here. It keeps me honest. All right. Question number 1. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. No, because it's part of the building.
Best place for it's the best place. In the
Where
context of
in the
it,
construction of this building where it's at, it's already on the plans is where that's going to be on the building. I don't see that, unlike the trash receptacle, you can't really move that around.
That's good.
We're used to things that are movable. Can't move it like a pool. All right. Whether the undesirable change would be produced in character or in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties.
No.
No. Whether requested variance is substantial.
Yes,
Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood?
no,
And then whether the alleged difficulty was self-created.
yeah,
All right. So the ZBA, after taking into consideration the above 5 factors, finds that the benefit to the application does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood or community. ZBA further finds that a variance for 72 feet 6 inches is the minimum variance that should be granted in order to preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community.
74 feet, 4 inches.
Oh, I'm sorry, it is 72 6, yeah, 74 feet 4 inches, thank you.
No, that's for the dumpster, the loading area is
74,
6.
See, on here,
it says 74.
Our agenda has it backwards.
yeah,
Oh,
but on here, if you look on this, both of these say 72 6. Can you just real quick?
So what is the variance you're requesting for the loading? Whatever the distance minus 100.
I know, I'm trying to do that in my head, then 59 feet, 59.8.
Okay, so that's even better. So we're granting less of a variance than has been noticed in the variance.
So you're wanting what, 59?
59.8.
We're gonna go with 60 feet.
Relief.
Of the variance.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we'll amend what Warren said to reflect that.
From side yard.
Yeah. All right. May I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
You're welcome.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Next step.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put this on the other.
Yeah. that's all you can do.
We got a.
I think a general question.
Sure.
Much of the slope is talking to that.
This guy's much smarter than I am.
It's not gonna slow it down towards RSC. We created the parking lot.
Hmm? Yeah.
Yeah,
that's one of that I was. So
to get into.
Yeah.
Basically,
You're gonna adjourn.
All right, so does anyone have any other business to cover tonight? All right, if there is no additional business to cover, can I get a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn?
All in favor? Aye, opposed? Thank you.
Excellent job, everyone.
Thank you, sir.